Welcome to the Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise podcast with Dr. William Choctaw, MD, JD. In this episode, Dr. Choctaw will continue his Leadership Masterclass series by covering how AI chatbots improve healthcare. One of the many ways AI has manifested in healthcare is through chatbots, which are computer programs designed to engage with human users in natural language conversations. Dr. Choctaw will dive into this aspect as well as share AI chatbots' ability to directly assist the medical community in various ways. Dr. Choctaw will also take a look at some of the tech companies that are major players in this space with large investments and chatbots of their own. Dr. Choctaw will address the cheers and the fears regarding this transformative technology. Question: do you know what a Da Vinci robot is or what it does? Well, these and other questions will be answered and addressed in this podcast episode. So let's get started. Here's Dr. William Choctaw, MD, JD.
We're going to talk about how artificial intelligent chatbots improve healthcare. How artificial intelligent chatbots improve healthcare. So buckle up, stay with me, and here we go. I believe that life is about being of service to others. I believe knowledge is power. I believe leaders can change the world. As always, when we do the masterclass, we talk about medicine specifically, and then on top of that, we'll talk about law or legal issues. Today, we're going to talk about medicine as it interacts with artificial intelligence and finances, and we'll delineate that more as we go along. So stay with us. As always, I like to include an outline, and the purpose of the outline is to let you know what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence specifically. We're going to define it. We believe in definitions. We're going to define what a chatbot is. We're going to define some of the different iterations of AI and the chatbot, the reasons for its use. We're going to talk about some of the problems and fears with chatbots that individuals are going through presently. And we're going to talk about robots in surgery. Yes, there are robots in surgery. Don't worry, we'll explain it when we get there. I don't want to scare you. But they are there. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay. So what is artificial intelligence? I know you've heard the term for many, many years, and I know that you have an idea about what artificial intelligence is. But what do we mean when we say artificial intelligence? Let me give you a definition. The simulation or approximation of human intelligence in machines. The simulation or approximation of human intelligence in machines. Let me give you my definition. Teaching machines to think. Artificial intelligence is teaching machines to think. Now, you can either be excited about that or that could scare you. And I submit that it's probably a little of both, that one goes through. I know it's probably a little of both that I go through. But this is what artificial intelligence is. And I can tell you that if you're finding out now or listening now about artificial intelligence, it's already been for probably at least the last 5 or 10 years. And
so this is Dr. Choctaw, brain surgeon, heart surgeon,
that are both exciting and a little traumatizing at the same time. What is the goal of artificial intelligence? Well, the goal is computer-enhanced learning, reasoning, and perception. Think about that. Computer-enhanced learning, reasoning, and perception. Think about a computer that can reason. Think about a computer that has perception. Okay? And I remember we used to always say perception is a reality. Certainly in politics, that's true. Whatever people perceive you are politically, and in terms of how they're going to vote, is probably how you really are from their perspective. But think about that. There are types of artificial intelligence. I'm just going to give you the two broad categories. That's basic pattern recognition. Now, basic pattern recognition is where you give a computer or machine a certain set of data, and you keep giving it the same amount over and over and over again, and it learns by repetition. It keeps repeating it and repeating it and repeating it until it has it memorized. And then there's the other part of artificial intelligence, or thinking machines, if you will, complex human emotion. And I submit that this is where we get into the discomfort that we humans have, and I would argue that we should have. And we'll talk about this a bit later in the presentation. What is an emotional machine? Is that an oxymoron? What does that mean? A machine with emotion. Think about that. Just let that marinate for a bit. One of the ways that scientists who do this work, computer scientists who do this work, are able to get machines to do what they do is they use something called algorithms. Now, those of you in math and those of you certainly in engineering and data management, you're very familiar with algorithms. But basically, algorithms are rules that data is given to make it, in my estimation, in my opinion, form a particular pattern to get something done. So this is all developed ahead of time. But so the broad umbrella of what we're talking about, when we talk about AI chat box, AI stands for artificial intelligent chat box, is the broad umbrella is artificial intelligence. My definition, thinking machines or teaching machines how to think. Well, what in the world is a chatbot? ChatBot. Well, obviously it's a made-up word that chat means to talk or to speak, and bot like robot. Okay, so think of a talking robot as a chat bot. Okay. The official definition is a chatbot is a program that communicates with you, most commonly using a text interface and artificial intelligence. When you get in your car and you use your GPS, your GPS is not human. I don't mean to burst your bubble. That GPS is not a human. It is a chat bot of type, and actually it's a very early rudimentary chat bot. It's not even at the higher levels that we're going to talk about today. But that's what a chat bot is. So how does that work in terms of where we are today? And I want to suggest to you, this information is in the public domain in the last 6 months. So this is not stuff that the public has found out about recent, 5 or 10 years ago, even though it's been around. But we're learning about it in the last 6 months or so, and we'll go over that. Remember when I talked about your academic hand computer, i.e. your cell phone? That is also a computer, and we already talked about this. But let me sort of use that as an example to talk about the chat bot. Okay, first a bit of history. The first company to come out with a chat bot is Microsoft. Now, obviously, many of you are familiar with Microsoft. If you have a computer, you may be using Microsoft software in your computer. I do. I'm sort of old school. And as a matter of fact, these presentations are done with a product of Microsoft called PowerPoint. And I've used PowerPoint for, God knows, 30 plus years. And so Microsoft is a very big worldwide computer operating system. Microsoft basically heard about a company called OpenAI. And so Microsoft then decided, and we'll get into this later, to work with this company. So the very earliest form of a chatbot is something that's called ChatGPT. So this is from Microsoft. And I'm just going to deal with the main the big players with computers, or talking computers, if you will. Let me just go over the list. Microsoft is the first, Google is second, Meta or Facebook is third, and Baidu, which is sort of the The Microsoft, if you will, of China is the last one. But Microsoft's product is called ChatGPT. GPT just stands for some computer iterated language. It doesn't really mean anything other than that. But this was their first product. This product rolled out to the public 2022, last year. So we're not talking about a long time, for free, basically. It's free. It's called ChatGPT. And indeed, if you have a Microsoft computer, it's already on your computer. It's already there. If you don't know where to look, go to your browser, go to where you search and type in ChatGPT, and then it'll pop up. Don't be scared. It'll pop up on your computer. Okay. So the very basic type of chatbot named ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the name of the chatbot that Microsoft owns, okay? And this is called chatbot or GPT 3.0. Now, Microsoft has already, within months, come out with an advanced version of that called GPT-4. And GPT-4 you have to pay for. GPT-3 is free. GPT-4 you have to pay for. I think it's like, I don't know, $40 a month or something like that. But if you have Bing, B-I-N-G, this is another operating system with Microsoft. If you have Bing on your computer, you already have GPT-4 for free. Okay, let me go over that again. GPT-3 is the early example of the chatbot that comes out that was made by Microsoft, which is the leading country because it's out with this technology first for the public. The advanced is GPT-4, but if you have Bing, you already have GPT-4 on your computer for free. Google has a product called Bard with Palm 2, and they're already coming out with their product, but they're a little behind Microsoft. And then Facebook, Meta has a product called Blenderbot, and Baidu, the Chinese operating system, has one called Ernie, which I found interesting, but I'm sure there's a message there, but I just don't understand it. Now, just make sure that you understand what I mean by Microsoft. You are familiar with Microsoft products. You'll either use Word when you typed a letter, or if you typed a paper. You may use Excel for numbers. If you do any type of number accumulation or accounting, as I mentioned about PowerPoint, these are the products of Microsoft. They call Microsoft Office. Okay. The company that started the ChatGPT is called OpenAI. That's at the top. This is a small company. I think right now, its main office is in San Francisco, California. Small company. And it's the one that started ChatGPT. Now, I think you'll be interested in the history of how this came about. Okay. OpenAI is the name of the company that started ChatGPT. It was founded in 2015. Not too long ago, okay? Microsoft, being the gentle giant that it is in the tech industry, is always looking, obviously, worldwide for new technology and obviously potential competition. So Microsoft approached OpenAI, the company, founded in 2015 in San Francisco, and said, we like your product. We want to invest in your product. We're going to invest $1 billion with the B dollars into your company. And of course, you're a small startup tech company, and Microsoft comes in and says they want to invest $1 billion. What do? That's right. You said, sure, bring it. I'll take it. Okay, so stay with me now. 4 years later, 2023, this year, Microsoft says, you know what? We're even more impressed with your company, OpenAI, and your product, ChatGPT. We want to increase our investment to an additional $10 billion. Stay with me now. So this is $11 billion from Microsoft to a little company in San Francisco. And you may say, well, why in the world is Microsoft doing that? Well, obviously, if you're a worldwide company and you've got information throughout the world, and there was something Microsoft saw that it liked. And that's that bullet point, the next bullet point, that in December alone of last year, 1 million people signed up with ChatGPT. 1 million people in 1 month, okay? You think that was something? In January, the next month, over 100 million people signed up for the same product. So what do you think Microsoft is thinking now? We got a good one here, okay? So what's my point? My point is to show you the speed of this stuff. This is not stuff that happens in 6 months and then another 3 months. This is happening daily, weekly, monthly. The speed, which goes along with computers. What is unique about computers compared to humans? One of the things is speed, okay? That a computer can do what I can do. The computer can do it in a second. A second is when you say 1/1000. That's a second. That's 1 second. 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000, 4/1000, 5/1000. 5 seconds just went by. The computer's already done that. So this is the area that we're in. Now, let me put this in context. I'm a baby boomer. I'm 75 years old. I still remember rotary telephones. I remember that there were no cell phones in my neighborhood. So I'm being transported now to a whole new area. And, to be honest with you, I find that exciting. I said, cool, bring it. Okay. So let's go into detail a little more about chatbots, and particularly as it has to do with healthcare. And I'll just go through this relatively quickly. Well, how does this talking computer process thinking machine help in a hospital, whatever? Well, ironically, it helps in a number of ways. And I will submit to you, if you get your healthcare in a large healthcare delivery system, and I'm talking about a large university-related healthcare delivery system or Kaiser or something like that, you're already interacting with these bots and you just don't know it. You think you're dealing with humans, you're not. And believe it or not, some of that is a good thing because the robot just keeps doing what it does. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get frustrated. It'll just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. But so five ways that it works in healthcare is providing informational support. Clearly, one of the most frustrating things is about being a patient or having a family member who's a patient is getting information. What's going on? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? What does this mean? What did that show? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Second, scheduling appointments. Now, when I want to see my doctor or whatever, I go to my computer. I pull down the website of my healthcare delivery system. I happen to have Kaiser. And I just dial in, I want to see blah, blah, blah for X. And I do it all online is my point. I never really talk to a human. And I sort of like that, quite honestly. Collecting patient information. Obviously, when you sign into the hospital or you go into a clinic, they have you fill out a lot of stuff. And all that stuff goes into a computer. And that computer then becomes more knowledgeable about you. Providing medical assistance. When the physician wants to know more information, he goes to that data bank and can get it. And assist in refilling. When if you take a lot of medication and you need to refill your medication, many times you can do that online. And that process is facilitated by an artificial intelligent machine. Well, how do these chatbot things help doctors? How does these computers help doctors? And let me just add here. If you remember back to some of the previous masterclass lectures, we talked about the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, that was passed in 2010, 13 years ago. And we mentioned that one of the main factors of Obamacare was it forced healthcare to go from paper to computers. This is a part of that process that started 13 years ago. So how do we physicians use the chatbot? Well, it helps us with clinical decision support. What does that mean? That means is, let's say I admit my patient to hospital A, and patient's very sick, and it's a condition that you don't see very often. Let's put it in that category. And so I think that I want to do treatment A, and so I type treatment A into the computer, and the computer gives me a red X or something, and I said, "Whoa, what's that?" And the computer says that it will not accept my treatment recommendation. And then I ask why, and the computer says I need to talk to X or Y or Z. My point is, it is helping me with my decision regarding the treatment for that patient. That's a good thing. Medicine changes every single day, and it is impossible for anybody, I don't care how smart you are or what school you went to stay up with everything that's current, on and on and on. Think about an artificial intelligent chatbot, a computer, and think about it in terms of a library, a world library. Think about a library, but it's a world library. And think about this world library that has every single book in the world in its library. And think about all the data and information in that world library that you can download to one computer system. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about an artificial intelligent chat box. So the computer just goes to this database and says, no, you need to do A, B, and C. The same thing is with literature search, procedure review. One of the very interesting areas that hospitals particularly like, and doctors also, is that you can get a lot of good feedback from patients.
Dr. Choctaw.
Real quickly, let's drill down a little bit more about this artificial intelligence stuff, and particularly as it has to do with machine learning. Now, on the left side, you see machine learning and deep learning. Again, machine learning here is that repetition type of learning, more superficial. Deep learning is where you get into perceptions and reasoning and that sort of thing. Go down to the lower level, you get natural language processing. This is how multiple languages around the world, that has to be processed, so it means the same thing for everybody. Predictive analytics. CEOs of companies love predictive analytics. Why? Let's say you're the CEO of Hospital A. Hospital A has 500 beds. You have 2,000 employees in Hospital A. You treat, let's say, 5,000 people in 6 months in Hospital A. But it is problematic in terms of knowing how many staff you need on a Friday or a Sunday, how many nurses you need, how many doctors are going to be on call, how many emergencies are you going to get, so you have to bring in more this and that. You have to guess. You have to guess. And most of the times we guess wrong. I mean, because we're human. The computer, the chatbot can do that for you. And it does that for you with what it calls predictive analytics. Go back to that world library that's been downloaded to the chat box with all the world's data. It can tell you in Hospital A, looking at your data for the last year, what your staffing is going to be like on a Friday night in December. It can tell you that. It can deduce it from the data that you've given it. That's just extraordinary. So a CEO or an executive team that has that much information, again, as an executive, your job is to predict the future, right? Because you have to guess. Do I add this many people? Or do I get this much money? Do I take a loan? Blah, blah, blah. The computer can take all that away from you. Look at that third box, sentiment analytics. Sentiment analytics. Well, guess what that's talking about? Sentiment analytics means that it can do a better job of getting patient feedback that it can give to the organization, i.e. hospital, physician, et cetera, in terms of what patients think. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing that doesn't rely on how much time I have, or how relaxed I am or available I am. If you can put your thoughts and feelings and belief into a computerized system that goes directly to the people in charge, that's a good thing. Well, I admit this is a cell phone with a toy chat bot. I hesitated about putting this picture in here because I didn't want to scare anybody, but I decided to put it in anyway. All right. Now the chat bot doesn't necessarily look like this. This is just no doubt a computer rendition of what it is. But the point is, the chat bot is there to help you. There's no question that there are issues and concerns, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But it can be of help to you, and I would encourage you to look at how it can help you. Very, very quickly, and we'll just go through this real fast. Again, hospital administration like chatbots because of protocols and HR stuff and all the regulatory stuff that most of the times is very difficult to deal with. One of the places that chatbots have been found to be helpful is with hospice. That many times individuals who are in hospice are able to communicate. Think about texting a friend, okay? Think about texting a friend who has unlimited time, unlimited capability, and can listen to you 24/7. Think about how therapeutic that might be if you or your loved one or your family member or loved one happen to be in a hospice situation. You want to know this guy. This guy, his first name is Sam. So what is Sam doing here? Sam is actually testifying in Congress. Okay, he started this. He and his people discovered it. Microsoft bought it out. It spread worldwide. But Sam, look at his face. Sam's a little worried. Sam's a little worried. And so what he's doing, which is smart, he's trying to be proactive or preemptive. And he went to Congress and said, I need to come and talk to you guys in government because I've created something here that you need to be aware of, and you need to start providing some regulation with it. You need to start providing some regulation with it, right? It's not 100% accurate. So my point is that if you do a query in the chat bot and it gives you a certain number of answers, double check those answers another way if possible. And I would argue nothing is really 100%, quite honestly. Skepticism is never a bad thing, never a bad thing. So he says that sometimes he's worried about people using the chat bot, putting it into a political forum, and then using that to spread disinformation. He's worried legitimately about people losing jobs. And that's obvious, right? I can remember when the main big mechanical robots came out, they said, well, they're going to get rid of blue collar jobs. Well, the chatbot, the AI chatbot is going to get rid of white collar jobs, writers, artists, lawyers, individuals who think for a living. It can even replace artists. These chatbots can draw art. They can create, they can do everything. So just think about that on the world stage. And if you happen to be a writer for Harper's company, and a chatbot comes out and says, I can write that 300-page book in 24 hours, right? Think about time and money, and then you understand the financial implications. And think about it, Microsoft is not stupid. They didn't put $11 billion in this company because they thought that they were going to lose money. Okay. But my point is, even people who are creating the product are concerned. And Sam is an example. This is another guy. His name is Blake Lemoine. He's a senior engineer, or was a senior engineer for Google. So remember, they're all doing it. It's not just Microsoft. All of them are doing it. And his claim, get this, that the chatbot, the machine, the robot, the computer had gained sentience. Now, I must admit to you, I didn't know what sentience was. I don't remember ever hearing that word. So I looked it up. And sentience means the ability to experience feelings and sensations. Think about that with your computer. Do you want a computer that has feelings and sensations? Right? And Blake says that his job was to probe the chatbot, ask it questions 24/7. What do you think about this? What would you do with that? How would you handle this scenario? How did you handle that scenario? And what Blake has said is what he's learned disturbed him. It disturbed him. And when he tried to talk to the bosses, obviously at Google, they didn't want him talking about stuff like that. And they certainly didn't want him talking about it to the public. But what got Blake fired was he gave documents to the Washington Post newspaper to prove his point, and Google fired him. But, he proved his point. So my point is that even people who are on the inside are sounding an alarm bell. They're saying, be wary of this stuff. Maybe we